Richard Fine was interviewed by Full Disclosure the day before he was arrested for civil contempt of court. He knew what he was facing.
Tomorrow's case, or the case that we have now, is dealing with a dysfunctional system because of the fact that this is now pure politics and retaliation.
Richard Fine had committed the crime of accusing the Los Angeles Superior Court judges of taking illegal payments from the County of Los Angeles. Paul Orphanides went into the lion's den of the LA Superior Court to continue the battle on behalf of Judicial Watch.
And we're arguing here that these benefits are illegal under the California Constitution, and therefore this court should order the county to stop paying them. We're also saying that the recent legislation that was passed is a violation of the equal protection provision in the California Constitution because it treats judges in different counties differently for no good reason.
The legislation he's talking about was Senate Bill SBX 211. It was authored by the California Judicial Council and quietly ushered through the state legislature by Senate Speaker Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg last February. It was cleverly hidden in the budget bill and was passed at the urging of the Los Angeles Superior Court judges to assure that they wouldn't get into trouble for taking illegal payments from Los Angeles County.
They put into this bill an immunity from prosecution. Immunity from prosecution for what? And liability for what?
Richard Fine considers this a self-admission of guilt.
By legislation, and I repeat, by legislation, the California judicial system has been legislated to have been corrupt and to have committed illegal acts and to have been given immunity for the commission of those illegal acts.
Attorney Paul Orphanides explained the obvious logic of the situation.
The judges here are state officials. They're not county employees. They don't work for the court itself. The court is a creation of the state government. And the county has come in, and the county is trying to pay these state officials this supplemental compensation. If you think about all the the litigation that the county has pending in front of the court, any kind of lawsuit that's filed against the county is filed here and is considered here. So you effectively have a party to a lot of lawsuits that are going on in the court, coming in and paying the judges $46,000 a year extra. Now certainly any other plaintiff couldn't do that without people crying foul, talking about the appearance, the bad appearance that creates. And yet the county is doing that.
Full Disclosure pressed to find out where the source of the attack on Mr. Fine was originating.
Do you know it to be a fact that it was the developer's attorneys that pursued the contempt?
Oh, yes.
As a result of her determined investigation, Leslie discovered the source of Mr. Fine's persecution. Greedy developers had to get rid of Mr. Fine to protect their projects in Marina del Rey.
R.J. Comer and Joshua.
And who'd they work for?
And they worked for the Shores project.
And who owned the Shores?
And Epstein owned the Shores.
And the property is owned, the Shores is located on property. Who owns that property?
The people who own the property is the county, but it's leased to the Shores, to the Epsteins. So everything in Marina del Rey is owned by the county. They're supposed to protect it the way the national government is protecting Yosemite. But instead, they're breaking all the laws, ignoring the laws, and trying to make a Miami Beach out of it.
But there have been roadblocks. Every attempt by Full Disclosure to interview Mr. Fine while in jail has been denied by the sheriff, denying the First Amendment right to freedom of the press.
Victoria Kim from the Los Angeles Times was allowed to interview Mr. Fine. She wrote this article, which with the limitations of the paper gave a brief account of Mr. Fine's situation.
Well, we all know that mainstream media now is a tool of the government. There's not even a discussion point on that. We know that.
Armed with this information, we telephoned the sheriff and placed another request to interview Mr. Fine. The sheriff's spokesman, Whitmore, not only said no, but hell no.
Hi, Leslie. This is Steve Whitmore. I am unfortunately the bearer of bad news. know that's not going to happen. So it's not going to happen, Leslie, and I'm sorry to have to deliver that to you.
Why isn't this important issue of judicial and county corruption being covered with the urgency it deserves? Sterling Norris underscores the terrible damage being done to the credibility of our justice system.
And to think that the parties that are involved in this are judges. I mean, you have to say, I know most of society likes to look at the judiciary as something that's probably the most highest integrity of any governmental agency, more than the legislature, more than the executive branch, and I think this goes just the opposite. Makes it very questionable.
Well, I'm here today to try to urge the judges and politicians and the people of Los Angeles to get attorney Richard I. Fine out of jail. He was put in there.
Find out about the enormity of this problem. Is there corruption in the judiciary? Is our court system threatened? Leslie Dutton has documented it all in the case of Richard I. Fine and the Judicial Watch legal battle to restore integrity to the courts. To watch previews of each program or to buy the full programs on DVD, go to fulldisclosure.net.